11 total candidates running for the nominations for the United States House of Representatives in District 4 met for a forum held by the League of Women Voters.
There are 9 candidates running in the Democratic Party primary and 2 running in the Republican primary. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to introduce themselves. We'll then move to a series of questions.
I'm Jake Auchincloss. I'm a Marine veteran. I'm a city councilor in Newton. Recently, I'm a new dad. And I'm running for Congress because Donald Trump's America is not the America I fought for. I want to help rebuild the country that sent my grandfather, a poor Jewish kid, to college in the darkest hours of World War II. Its commitment to justice, its institutions, its self-confidence. I'm looking forward to talking about how we can do that this afternoon.
I'm Dave Cavell. I started out as a 4th grade public school teacher, and then I worked for Deval Patrick, the Obamas, and the White House, and Maura Healey. I don't just want to have this job, but I'm ready to do it. To pass a Green New Deal, Medicare for all, ranked choice voting. I also recognize this is the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage and that we have so much work left to extend true equality to all women, especially women of color.
I'm Becky Grossman, and I'm a Newton City Councilor. I'm running for Congress with the fierce urgency of a mom fed up by what's going on in this country and determined to make change. Out of 435 members of Congress, we only have 25 who are mothers of school-aged children. And I believe that if we had 100 or 200 moms in Congress, it would change the conversation in Washington completely.
So my name is Julie Hall. I'm a retired Air Force colonel. I'm a veteran and a proud single mother of an Army veteran. I've been serving our communities, the Commonwealth, and our country for the majority of my adult life. I'm running for Congress because I believe the hardworking people of the 4th Congressional District and the things that are important to us have been consistently underrepresented in Congress, and that we deserve a choice and a voice for us.
My name is Alan Casey. More than 30 years ago, my friends and I invented City Year because we knew that the system was failing too many people and we had to do things in a different way. City Year served as the model inspiration for AmeriCorps, and now more than 1.1 million people have served our country. That's what I'll bring to Congress.
I'm Ihsan Leki. Across our country, people are demanding change to a system run by corrupt special interests and rich white men for too long. We need leaders who represent our diversity and courage, not the corporate elite. In just over a decade, I went from mopping restaurant floors to taking on the biggest banks on Wall Street. Now, as the only woman of color in this race, I'm fighting for racial, social, and economic justice and environmental justice across our district.
I am Dr. Natalia Linas. I'm an epidemiologist, a mom of 3 little kids, and a Greek American who entered this race because of the COVID disaster. We have today over 155,000 Americans who have lost their lives. We're approaching 5 million Americans who are infected, and the federal government simply does not have a plan. I have led through crises at the United Nations. I have been at the front lines at the New York City Health Department, and I'm ready to lead us through this one.
My name is Jessie Mermel, and I'm running for Congress to take on Donald Trump and his minions, fight for Medicare for all and reproductive justice, and lead an equitable recovery from COVID-19. I've built a 20-year career here in Massachusetts leading on bold progressive change. From my time as a senior staffer at Planned Parenthood, working side by side with Governor Deval Patrick on the select board in Brookline and leading the state's progressive business organization. I'm looking forward to making the case for my campaign today, and I thank you for the opportunity to be with you.
Hi, I'm Dave Rosa. I am retired several times over. I have been serving my town of Dayton, 3rd term as a Parks and Recreation Commissioner. And we have budgets and we have do planning. And I work on a little legislation on the side and work with my state rep to see if I can't push that forward. I've been married for over.
Your time has expired.
My name is Ben Siegel, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting together this afternoon's forum. We need now more than ever to elect a diverse leader like myself, who would be the first Latino ever elected to Congress from Massachusetts, who truly understands the diverse perspectives of this community. And more importantly, we need to elect a leader who's going to amplify the voices of everyone in the community and not just a privileged few. I am that leader, and I look forward to today's conversation.
Hi, my name is Chris Sinetos. On the Democratic side, you have 9 good candidates. They're all good people. Where we differ is experience. There's a lot we have to fix in our country. The most important thing is to rebuild our economy and rebuild it in a way that delivers for not just the very few. There are only 6 people in Congress who have any experience in this, and there are none in this race, except for me.
Recent events have resulted in an increased awareness and concern about racial justice. How do you think Congress should address this issue?
Well, Black Lives Matter, and we need to act like it for the first time in 400 years. I've called for reimagining and divesting from policing and banning police chokeholds, establishing national standards for the use of force, ending militarization and qualified immunity. I also support teaching Black history to every student in this country. I've proposed the George Floyd Act for education. It's on my website. Every single student should learn our real history.
I've proposed, along with Cornell William Brooks, former past president of the NAACP, who I'm honored has endorsed me in this race, an American Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation Commission, chartered by Congress with $50 million. Transformational reform in criminal justice, in public education, in public health, and in economic justice.
And racial justice is not simply something we can solve at paying attention to one institution, such as the police. We have to solve it at the collective level. I will fight for a future that works for everyone, and the COVID-19 tragedy, which has played out so poorly for Black Americans and Hispanic and Native Americans, is the call that I think everyone around here can get behind to say, let's do better, and we can build a better future.
The best cure for much of that is economic prosperity. We've got to bring the jobs home. We've got to support those economic policies like President Trump is working on right now. Let's get back to economic prosperity. Let's spread that around. Let's lift everybody up.
Do you support the Green New Deal concept? Why or why not?
Of course, I support the Green New Deal because I was disgusted to see the corporate money that comes between us and fixing the environmental crisis that we're in, that our own representative was invested in Exxon and was taking money from fossil fuels.
I'm a steadfast supporter of the Green New Deal. And you asked why or why not? Well, why? Because we have to tackle the climate crisis. We know we have 10 years or less to do it. And because we need to create equitable economic growth. I also want to say that if we try to move forward on a Green New Deal without investing in transportation, particularly public transit, we're doing it wrong.
Absolutely in favor of the Green New Deal. Climate crisis is the existential threat to our entire world. And it has to start with creating an environmental lens office where every piece of legislation needs to be looked through the lens of its effect on the environment.
Absolutely, I support the Green New Deal. We need a national mobilization plan to phase out fossil fuel use entirely.
My track record in Newton as a city councilor demonstrates the answer is yes. We need to be using funds from carbon pricing to create reliable, rapid regional rail, all electric, connected bus rapid transit, better infrastructure for cycling and walking.
You asked if I support the concept of the Green New Deal, and I do. One thing I don't agree with is what it suggests in eliminating private healthcare insurance, which I believe we should deliver a public option available to everyone.
This is what the Democrats want to portray, that the United States is the big bad monster on this. But in fact, it's the Chinese and India that are producing most of the air pollution and God knows what else.
The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted our lives and our futures. What would you support for ensuring a full recovery?
We need unemployment checks restored to the previous level. In the longer term, we're going to need to put millions of people back to work. And the federal government is going to need to put resources behind an infrastructure project, an opportunity to put millions of people back to work.
Yes, I think the most important thing that we need to do is to get people back to work. And I visited many of the small businesses and asked them, what is the biggest thing that's caused some difficulties? They say in COVID and out of COVID is the regulations that the government. So we do not need more government interference.
We can come up with programs that will help people, but we're spending ourselves into an awful hole. We just need to get back to work. We'll generate the solution.
I think the first step is to admit that we can't get people back to work until we have controlled the virus. So I have a 26-page plan because I'm an epidemiologist. But what my plan talks about is how do we reopen safely? How do we recover from the impact? And how we rebuild in line with the Green New Deal.
Our government has bailed out the large corporations and left working people to struggle. Our priorities need to change now. We need to keep workers on payroll and guarantee healthcare and paid leave for all and support our local governments.
Remember, the primary election is September 1st. There are options for early voting, by mail, and in person, as well as voting on election day.